Hi YouTube, it's Scarlet Fury, otherwise known as Colorado Contraptions if you followed my channel for a while. Um, this is going to be a little bit of a long update video, and there's several reasons for this, but I think the biggest reason is that I'm going to go into depth about what's been going on the last 2 years. And this is probably the most raw and vulnerable and open I will have been on this channel at all. So bear with me. It's going to be a little bit heavy at times, if not a little triggering. So if you're a sensitive person, I highly recommend either grabbing a box of tissues or just taking the video in chunks. Just watch bits and bits as you need to, as you can. I do not blame you if you don't finish the video or if you end up just taking your sweet time finishing it, because this is going to be a bit rough. And I'm partly inspired by Black Griffin. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but I follow his YouTube channel and Twitter pretty closely. And his recent video about what he's been going through actually inspired me to finally put the rubber to the road, hit the books, so to speak, and just... Wait, I don't think that's the right expression, but you know what I mean. Just actually sit down and get this video done, especially because I have been putting it off for the entirety of those 2 years. And once you hear my story and everything that's been going on, you'll understand why. That being said, you've probably noticed that I'm a bit inconsistent when it comes to YouTube. I try to set myself a regular schedule. I try to upload like just one video a week. But as you've seen from my updates, life gets in the way. And sometimes it's just unavoidable. There's just circumstances and situations that crop up that are just imminent and priorities, and I've got to deal with them as they come up instead of working through them in the order that I would prefer to. Well, there's numerous reasons for this. The first is probably the most obvious. I am a busy college student. I don't know if I've talked very much about what I do in college, so I'll try to keep this entire video as brief as possible. That way you guys aren't overwhelmed with information and don't feel like I'm telling my entire life story, which is not my goal. My goal is to raise some awareness as to what's been going on and what I struggle with, and hopefully through that I can be an inspiration and help others through whatever they're struggling with as well. If you relate, then definitely I hope to encourage you, uplift you, and just be there, especially as a friend, because life's hard. And when you hear the full story of everything that's been going on, you'll you'll understand just why I wanted to make this video. But anyway, college. So I'm actually a double major. I know that sounds a little crazy. I'm majoring in music and engineering, both very, very demanding majors. Thankfully, I was able to find a school in which I could pursue both programs. It made for a very wacky class schedule, but I was able to organize it for the most part. But it is a very long-term college plan because the classes often conflicted with each other as far as scheduling goes and as far as material goes. So there were numerous times where I was like, oh, I can't take that class because it interferes with a musical ensemble that I'm supposed to be in, or I can't take that class because it's right smack dab in the middle of one of my engineering classes. And so for those of you who know anything about engineering and music, they're, it's, it's a lot of work. Engineering in particular is very heavy on science and math and physics and analyzing and solving problems, which, while it's fun in its own right, can also be very frustrating and very difficult, because you often have to do very complex calculations and or think of ways around situations and problems that most other people don't. And then music. A lot of people have a misconception about music. They think that all music majors in college have it easy. They just play their instrument all the time. That is absolutely wrong. There are mandatory classes for music majors that will often weed out those people. They might go to college expecting, oh, this is going to be the easiest major. I don't have to do as much math. But the trade-off for that is very tricky stuff. They have a full series of 5 classes just for music theory alone. This goes into all the analysis, all the inner workings, all the arrangement and composing, and how music functions as an art. And you cover everything from the beginning of music history to modern day music. And you have to understand all of that, and it's very, very difficult. It's like the math of music, except instead of math, you're analyzing how chords move from one chord to another, how melodies fit over those chords, how composers push the boundaries of the art of what music was defined to be. And then you have a series of 4 courses called aural skills, or ear training and sight singing. And in these courses, you are basically given these melodies that you've never seen before, and you have to sing them as a test in front of the entire class. They have a system for you to learn how to do that, but it can be very difficult. And alongside that, in that class, you're also learning to hear melodies, hear chord progressions, hear songs, and then write them based off what you heard. That is very difficult. That was actually the classes that I struggled most with in my music. As if that wasn't hard enough, you have your primary instrument, which you have to practice incessantly on. You have your private instrument lessons that your instructor will push you to learn new techniques on, new technical skills, new fluidity all over the instrument. And on top of that, you have your primary musical ensembles that you have to play in, like wind ensemble, or string ensemble, or orchestra, or choir. And on top of that, you have secondary ensembles, like jazz ensemble and percussion ensemble. So you're practicing about 5 to 6 songs for each of those ensembles, on top of 5 to 6 things your teacher is instructing you to practice in private lessons, on top of studying for all your theory homeworks, on top of studying for general education requirements. Music is not as easy a major as many people are mistakenly led to believe. Engineering, people can obviously see that's difficult because you have to know like calculus and differential equations and matrix and vector algebra. That's pretty advanced stuff. But yeah, I am a double major in music and engineering, so I am doing all of that. Not necessarily all the time every semester, but I have been doing college work since high school. I dual enrolled in high school. I took CLEP tests to get college credit to transfer into different institutions, and then I took some college classes at my local community college before transferring to my full-fledged university where I am now. So that's one part of life that is very demanding of my time and my effort, and it sometimes leaves me pretty drained. So if I don't have time to work on YouTube videos because of schoolwork, you guys can understand that. I've posted many times that Calculus 3 this particular semester is a very difficult class. Some problems for that class have taken me hours to solve. Just because I either get stuck and don't understand a concept, or I'm making math errors that trickle down the problem line until I don't know what went wrong. And then I have to go back and analyze each individual line of what I wrote and make sure, okay, I did that correctly. Oh, there's the error. And then I do it again, and it's hard. As if that wasn't enough, my family has had some major life changes over the past 2 years. Obviously, since my last update video, you saw I got a Scarlet plushie. But there was many other things that have happened in that time period. Between the time period of my update video where I talked about what happened at BronyCon to now, there has been just a tidal waves of things that have gone on. And some of those changes were very, very stressful. First off, my dad got at one point, my dad got a new job that required us to move across country. We left the state where I grew up most of my entire life, the state that was essentially home to me, the state where all of my friends lived, to go to California, where my dad got this new job working for Amazon. And that was all of 2020. That was, well, half of 2020, half of 2021. And that year was very hard. I won't go incredibly in depth on that yet, but I will later in the video. But it was, yeah, just, I don't even know how to put it into words yet. I'll explain again later when I cover the other few things. So that major life change was really rough because I was basically leaving all I've ever known. I have lived here in Colorado my entire life, all 26 years. And I grew up here. I met all of my friends here. I've gone to school here. I worked my first jobs here, had my first relationship here. I've done all sorts of crazy projects with my family while I'm here, as you can see on my channel, like the mini golf course and my Connects projects. So leaving all of that behind kind of broke me, if I'm being honest. I might tear up a few times in this video just because of everything I'm going to be talking about. So hopefully if we make each other cry, we can bawl together. It's fine. If I was there with you, I would be hugging if you were comfortable with that. But anyways, so that was a major life change that happened over the course of that year. And then there's just been other various things. Moving itself is stressful enough, but there were other things going on. I was working a job at my parents' restaurant as a dishwasher and then a server later on. For anybody who's worked in the food industry, you know how stressful that can be. You know how intimidating, anxiety-inducing, and panic-inducing, and just tension inducing that can be. There were numerous times that I made some mistakes and had some breakdowns. Not necessarily at the restaurant during my shift, but afterwards or beforehand. And I since learned something that never makes me want to work in that industry again. Nothing against anybody who does, or nothing against that industry in particular. It's just something personal that I have found important for me to take care of myself in that regard, in terms of mental health. So I was going to school part-time or full-time, working that job part-time, on top of trying to run my YouTube channel and do all my other personal projects. Like, as you can see here, I've got another Connects project in the works. So hopefully that will be done eventually, and I can upload that for you guys. I know it's been years since I've done anything with Connects, and you guys and my original subscribers probably are upset and miss that, but don't worry, it's coming back. The challenge is that it takes a long time to build these projects, because I don't go half-hearted into these. I go full force, full on. What can I do to make this as amazing as possible? And as a result, it often takes me months to complete these projects. So that's one reason that my channel uploads and schedule is not always consistent. And actually, I'm going to do very minimal editing on this video, just a heads up. And the reason for that is I want it to feel as real and personal with you guys as possible, like you're getting to know me, and like I'm getting to know you. For those of you who do know me very personally, like on my Discord server, which, by the way, I have a Discord server now. That is another reason why I've been pretty busy. I have to moderate, administrate, and manage that. But those of you who know me personally there, you've seen me talk about a lot of my struggles, so you probably understand everything that I'm going through. And even if you don't know, well, here it is. This is me in the raw. This is me explaining everything. And hopefully that'll help you understand a bit more why I am the way I am and why things go this way. But, so yeah, running my Discord server is difficult. I don't even have all my members there yet. But with the members that I do have, there's been, you know, issues cropping up from time to time that I have to take care of, and it can be a little bit painful and emotionally draining. I know it's not supposed to be that way. I'm working on that. Everyone else is working on that as well. We're all humans. We're not flawless. As the song from Ponies goes, we're not flawless. Oh, wow, I sang that terribly. I'd have to listen to it to get the key. Anyway, so that's another reason. The third reason is partly due to my personality type. For those of you who know about the 16 personalities from the Myers-Briggs test, if you don't, I highly encourage you to look it up. It's very, very insightful, very, very good for personal growth. Helps you really understand yourself and others, and how our brains are wired, how they function, how we see things in the world, and how we relate to other people or don't relate as a result. And in my particular personality type is an INFP. So, for those of you who don't know, I'll do a quick rundown of what that means. So, introverted. I actually scored 50-50 sort of on this part of the test. So I'm really thinking I'm more of an ambivert, which means that I have two tanks. I have my introverted tank and my extroverted tank. When my extroverted tank is running low on fuel, I am driving myself crazy. I need to get away from myself and interact with people and have some social time with my friends and really get to connect and bond with them. When my introverted tank is running empty, I am drained from being around people, and I need some time away to recharge, refocus, think, process, analyze things, and really delve into myself and just recharge my batteries, so to speak. Then N, that means intuitive. So intuition is my strong suit. This means that I frequently see the big picture in things, the reasons why things work the way they do, how everything connects together, all the puzzle pieces that fit to the mystery of life or of a particular subject together. And as a result, this can kind of mean I suffer a little bit from analysis paralysis, so to speak. I am so focused on everything at once that I sometimes miss the details, miss the fine inner workings that are important. But on the flip side, when I do see those details, I can pretty easily fit them all together into a bigger picture. And that's it. It's both a strength and a problem because it can also mean I'm not always very practical with how things go. And then F stands for feelings. That means I usually rely on my emotions more than my logic to guide my decisions. I have core convictions and values that I tend to base my life around, and those are very fiercely connected to who I am. And so as a result, I can get a little over the top with my emotions. There's actually another reason for this, but I'll get into that in a bit. But as a result, people who think more logically might have a little bit of a hard time understanding me because I'm wrestling through comprehending what I'm feeling in that particular moment and having trouble putting it into words and expressing it so that others can really grasp what it is that I'm going through. But at the same time, so sometimes that also means that I can not understand people's logic. Like, they might see, oh, this is the next logical step in doing such and such, or resolving such and such problem. And I might be hooked up on some feelings for a person involved in that situation, or a thing, or a place, and as a result, sometimes that will cause me to be hesitant and defensive and divisive when confronted with making a hard decision, a hard logical decision. Even if it is the best option, my inner self will sometimes fight me for that, tooth and nail, so to speak. And then P. P stands for prospecting. That means that I'm looking at all of the possibilities and all the ways things could go, both good, bad, neutral, and analyzing what outcome would be best and how to work that out in life, both for me and for others. As a result, though, I can, again, suffer from some analysis paralysis because I'm looking at everything that could happen at once, and as a result, I get overwhelmed, and just, my mind is comprehending so many different things at once, and jumping thoughts, and it can just shut me down sometimes, because I will overanalyze something, and then I'll overanalyze how I overanalyzed it, and then I'll overanalyze how I overanalyzed it, and then I end up doing nothing as a result. Or I jump from one thing to the next, taking risks that other people would be like, whoa, wait, I have a plan that's going this direction. Why are you off doing this thing? And that can cause some tension and drama in relationships at times. So that's another reason why I'm a little bit inconsistent. Just because I often overanalyze my videos to the point of going over them with a fine comb, like, oh, I didn't say that right, or, oh, that lighting is wrong, or, ooh, that didn't go the way I thought at all. And I can be my own worst critic, and it's often a miserable thing, because I'll go through and record something, and then all of a sudden be like, this doesn't work, and scrap it, and redo it. I've recorded this particular video with just the audio before it 4 other times. And then finally, after seeing Black Griffin's video, I was like, okay, I need to bite the bullet. I need to just do this so that everyone understands what's going on. And lastly, the third reason isn't something I can really beat around the bush with. It's something I've struggled with since 2019. It's a relatively new development in my life, and I'm still learning about it, still learning about myself through it, and it's hard to talk about, but it needs to be talked about. And that is, I have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I know some of you might be like, wait, what? You don't seem like you have that. And then others of you might be like, I can see that. And then others of you might just not know how to react to that. Honestly, I didn't even, mental illness didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't even in my radar at all 2 years before this diagnosis. And it's changed things a lot. It's made things both very difficult, but also very wonderful. It's both a blessing and a curse. And I'm gonna tell the story leading up to that and how it sort of affects me from my own personal experience. If you want me to go more in depth about this in future videos, feel free to let me know in the comments below, or request me to put a poll as to what you would like me to talk about this. Because, unfortunately, in our country, in America, and around the world, mental illness is often stigmatized. We're often seen as less than human, or those crazy people. And that's just not right. We need to fight this. We need to show people that we're human too. We have flaws, and we have a major flaw that makes living harder than normal. But it doesn't make it impossible. Sometimes it might, but not always. And because of that, many people just don't understand what it is we go through. And one of the biggest ways you can fight that stigma is by educating people. And so that's what I hope to start doing on this channel. For those of you who do struggle with a mental illness, bravo. You are stronger than you could possibly know. I commend you. You are an amazing person. You are amazing people. Well done. You can do this. You can make it through. You can live with this and still have a happy, productive, prosperous life. It just requires some extra steps. And I've often heard it described this way. Living with a mental illness is like playing a video game on hard mode. Playing life, the video game, on hard mode. And that can sometimes be really frustrating, or really draining, or really difficult. And it's just, it's part of it. But, and enough about that. Here's my story for that. So, fall of 2019, after BronyCon, after that update video, you probably could tell I got a bit emotional in that update video. I was very sad because it was the post-con blues. I wanted to go back to that beautiful world of ponies, stay there with all my fellow fans who loved ponies just as much as I did. And it's hard to leave that all behind because it gives you a sense of belonging. It gives you a sense of, this is where I'm meant to be, and these are my people. This is who I relate to. These are my friends. They're more than friends. They're family at this point. And so leaving that behind can be really draining. And combine that with school starting to hammer me with assignments, hammer me with stress, I kind of broke. I suffered a pretty severe depressive episode. At first, it was just having trouble with concentration, having trouble with memory, having trouble with focusing on my assignments, just being overwhelmed and anxious about everything going on in school, and just it all felt like too much, just too much to handle. And then that started affecting my sleep, which spiraled me. There were days where I couldn't get out of bed for hours and couldn't even make it to class. This is kind of hard to talk about. There were times I literally went to the bathroom and just collapsed on the floor and cried for a few hours because I didn't want to suffer anymore. The pain of life was just too much. And I couldn't see a way out. It was like darkness enveloped me. And I don't wish that on anybody. But this is just what I went through. I would often arrive late to class, if not miss my first class completely, which would then perpetuate negative thought cycles. Things like, oh, you worthless person, you can't even get out of bed to get to class. You can't even focus on your assignment. You can't even understand what the teacher's putting on the board. Why are you bothering with this? Clearly you're not meant for this. And just on and on and on, berating myself. And for those of you who've been in depression, you probably know what this is like. You probably know how you struggle to do something, and as a result, your negative thoughts put you down, and then as a result, you struggle to do something more, even harder, and it just snowballs. And then I started experiencing some suicidal thoughts. At first, it was just on and off, here and there, just like, I would rather be anywhere else, or rather not exist, just disappear. Nobody would know. And that ultimately got worse and worse until it was all I could think about. And YouTube's probably gonna flag this video because it's a hard thing to talk about, but it needs to be addressed. The majority of the reasons why people suffer through this is because it's not talked about. And the majority of the reason why people do commit suicide is because they don't talk to anybody about how they're feeling. They hide it behind a mask because they're too embarrassed, too ashamed, too full of guilt. Please, if that's you, get some help. It's okay to not be okay. You can make it through this. Anyway, so I did some research. I knew something was wrong at that point, because thinking of suicide 2 weeks in a row, thinking of nothing but crashing your car or walking in front of a car or hanging yourself, that's not normal. So I did some research. I got the usual, I went to some professional sites like psychologytoday.com, other National Institute of Mental Health. They have great assessments for mental health to kind of give you a broad picture of what you might be struggling with before you go and talk to a professional. I highly recommend you do talk to a professional as soon as this starts coming up, as soon as things like this start affecting you, because it's only going to get worse if you don't address it. And they're there to help you. They want to see you live a happy life. Anyway, so the usual diagnoses came up, or not diagnoses, but like possible diagnoses came up, like depression and anxiety disorder, but then bipolar disorder came up, and I'd never heard of that. So naturally, I looked into it. I read numerous articles, I've watched numerous videos about people who struggle with the illness, and the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, that describes me. That's like what I've been going through. That's my life in a nutshell. And so I set up an appointment with the school counseling center, met a therapist there. She sent me to the school's nurse practitioner, and lo and behold, diagnosed. Specifically bipolar type 2. If you want to know more about all of that, I'll go into that in another video if you guys would like. I know there's lots of other resources on YouTube about this, but again, sharing my own experience, my own thoughts, my own story about this should help others as well. So I've been struggling with this ever since. One of the ways the illness is managed is through therapy. So I have a regular therapist that I try to go to as often as I can. And then you also need support from friends, support from family, support from a support group. Very helpful. DBSA is an amazing group, Depression Bipolar Support Alliance. They host meetings in local chapters for particular cities in America, and their meetings are very, very cathartic. You can talk about everything you've been struggling with, others can relate, others can suggest things, and it's just very, very helpful. A very open, very real environment where you can connect with others who have been through what you're going through, particularly with mood disorders. And then the other thing is medication. I do have to take a medication for this. It's like treating another illness. If you have diabetes, you have medications for diabetes. You have insulin injections or pills or whatever. Mental health is the same way. For a mental health illness, you have to take care of it with medications sometimes. Not always, but most of the time, especially with bipolar disorder. So, yeah, I've been working through trying to find the right combination of those meds, the right therapy tools. It's hard. And it's a lifelong illness. So I'm on this journey for life. For those of you who do struggle with it as well, or who do struggle with depression or anxiety, or maybe autism or other mental disorders, you're not alone. We're in this together. Hopefully, my story can give you a bit of hope that we can make it through this, and we can function in society and live our best lives. And hopefully inspire others who are in those same dark places. Hopefully giving them hope that, oh my gosh, if he can do it, I can do it. And sometimes that's all somebody needs. Sometimes that's all it takes. So, I need to wrap up this video because I've got some other things that I need to get to doing, but there you have it. That's a lot of what's been happening the past 2 years. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of all-arounds. And if you guys want more information, feel free to ask me questions in the comments. Feel free to send me an email through my email on my YouTube channel, or follow me on Twitter. Send me DMs there too, at Scarlet Fury Scarlet underscore Fury YT for YouTube. I think that's it. I'll put it up there when I edit this. And then, last but not least, I have a Discord server now. If you guys would like to join my Discord server and get to know all of my wonderful friends, me personally, and just hang out, have a great time, get to know each other, play games, talk, all sorts of fun stuff like that. I will post the link to that in the description, and you can join. It is a family-friendly server, though, so that means no swearing. That includes profile pictures, bios, anything, and no not safe for work. Those rules are mostly strictly enforced, or are the most strictly enforced rules on my server. But other than that, there's a few other rules too, but those are the two big ones. So if you have some challenges with that, I understand you could still join the server. Just be aware that we do have a system for warning people in place for breaking those rules. That being said, I hope to see you there, and hopefully this wasn't too long of a video, and hopefully you guys benefited from it. I think I need to hug Scarlet after that. I did choke up a bit. I had my box of tissues at the ready just in case, but I think I'm okay. I'll see you guys in the next reaction videos, the next Connects video, the next music that I post, and on my server, or on Twitter, or in the comments section. Leave a like, rate, subscribe. Yeah. So, I will see you guys next time.